I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Sonoma. Richie Joplin and the Mark Nelson on the front row. David Garman, DP Riggins on the second row. Kevin Reed and Kyle Holden have the third row. Aaron Mason and Larry Fairman on the fourth row. Albie Ewens and Mark the Man Dan Tuma round out your top 10. Brandon Springer starts in 11th next to Gerald Thanos Poole in 12th. Donald Durant starting in 13th, and Nicole, that's what she said, Creasel back in the car tonight in 14th. There will not be a competition caution tonight, so expecting no cautions whatsoever. 50 laps, whoever gets there first is the winner. They will need to make one pit stop for fuel. Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson out front as they come through the horseshoe. Porsche pace car is on pit road. Track temperature just a degree higher now. Definitely this track gonna be slick here tonight as they come through the final kink. Green flag is in the air. Race number 4 of the BRR Cup Series is underway at Sonoma, and up the hill they go. Almost completely single file as they top the hill. Richie Joplin still out front. Mark Nelson in second. No big moves yet. Kyle Holden now up into the top 5 right on DP's back bumper. Albie Ewens currently sits back in 10th, trying to reel in Mark Dantuma in 9th. Richie Joplin out front trying to put some space between he and Mark Nelson. These two have been close in speed throughout practice, throughout the night so far. Garmin shot it a little bit deep into the horseshoe the first time, but they come through the kink. Richie Joplin will lead lap number 1. Nicole Creasel has had a problem back behind. She is rolling, but it looks like the car may be hurt. Let's see if we can see what happened. Albie Ewens has also had a problem. Does look like Albie is rolling again, and Aaron Mason also having a problem. Let's take a look. There's Nicole coming down into the horseshoe for the first time. Just back on the power a little too hard, and it goes for a 360. A few moments later, coming up the hill, Albie Ewens there in the purple 50. Oh, just barely clips the grass and ends up in the tire wall. Then a moment later, Aaron Mason, just a few spots ahead, comes over the top, goes wide, off into the dirt, keeps it straight, gets it back on track. We'll We'll take a look. Looks like Donald Durance has also had an incident. Oh! And Gourmet has an incident at the top coming up the hill. Larry Fairman, DP Riggins also involved. Here's Donald Durance coming down the hill into the... Oh, just too much of the curb. He goes around. And we saw David Garman as he worked his way up the hill on the power. The back end snaps out. DP and Larry Fairman have to go wide to avoid him. And finally, he gets it going back the right way. We did see the incident with Kyle Holden has come to pit road. Kyle Holden on pit road unexpectedly here early. We did see Donald Durance, and we saw how hard he hit that bump at the apex of the turn, trying to get the car around. A lot of the drivers talking about, some of them have been here recently in the Xfinity car and talked about how that car could take those bumps. You could hit the bumps harder, get a little bit more out of them. This car just too stiff, does not really let you have any leeway. Richie Joplin still in the lead. Mark Nelson in second. DP Riggins now up to third. Kevin Reed in fourth. Mark the Man Dan Tuma up 5 spots into fifth. Aaron Mason currently in 6th. Gerald Thanos Poole up 5 spots into 7th. Kevin Reed all over the back bumper of DP Riggins. Mark Nelson, last time by, set the fastest lap of the night so far. But he is still looking at the back bumper of that man, Richie Joplin. Brandon Springer now into the top 10 and 10th. Gourmet, after recovering from his incident, is way back in 9th, all over the back bumper of Larry Fairman. Garmin, a very accomplished road and dirt racer. This has got to be a frustrating situation for him. Gerald Poole currently up 5 spots into 7th as Larry Fairman and David. Oh, Thanos pulls over and lets him go. Larry Fairman now into 7th. Gourmet back into 8th. Fairman and Garmin now trying to pull away from Thanos. Richie Joplin and Mark Nelson, though, they have just checked out from the field. Mark Nelson in second place is 13 seconds ahead of Kevin Reed in third after only 6 laps. Not something we say very often in a road race, but is lap traffic going to become a problem for the leaders? And it does look like that is a possibility. With problems early for some of the drivers, like Donald Durance and Nicole Kriesel, the leaders are really starting to reel them in. Aaron Mason currently sits in 6th place. Aaron already up 1 spot, trying to close the gap ahead on Mark Dantuma. Dantuma sits in 5th and is now trying to set up on DP. He's going to run. He will take 4th place from DP Riggins. Kevin Reed just ahead in 3rd. Dantuma already closing in on him. Donald Durant has struggled since the drop of the green. We saw the one incident. He had another one a few laps ago. Let's take a quick look. Donald right behind Nicole Kriesel, and once again, just too much of the bumps. Remember, we talked about it a little bit ago, that this car just not as forgiving as the Xfinity car when you hit those bumps. DP Riggins is on pit road. This is unexpected. We saw Kyle Holden in earlier on as the leaders are in lap traffic. They cannot go the distance from here on fuel. Looks like Kyle Holden's stop may have just been a fuel or repair stop. He was only on pit road for a handful of seconds. DP Riggins, his stop was 4 tires and fuels. We've got a car off track. It was Brandon Springer. See what happened here with Brandon Springer. Coming up the hill. Oh, overshoots into the sand. Quickly gathers it back up, but man, lost a position in the process. And DP Riggins has come back to pit road. Could he have gotten a speeding penalty? We'll see here in a moment. Does he take 4 tires and fuel? DP hits his pit stall. The car does not go up on the jack, so he is just serving a penalty here. DP was up in the top 3 at one point, now losing a lot of ground. He is back to 12th. Make that 13. Donald Durant is just going by pit road. Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson continue to pull away. Their gap over Kevin Reed, now 18, almost 19 seconds. Mark Dantuma back in 4th, about 8 seconds behind Reed and closing. Aaron Mason back in 5th, David Garman in 6th, trying to reel him back in. Kyle Holden in 7th. Larry Fairman 8th, Gerald Poole in 9th. Brandon Springer in 10th. He had a problem a moment ago. Here's Brandon coming down through the S's. Overshoots the exit of the S's hard into the outside wall. And into the horseshoe, can't even get the car to turn. He has ended up towing it to pit road. Looks like the steering on that car broke in a bad way. Meanwhile, the top two continue to dominate this one as they have now gone past 10th place. Albie Hewitt's putting him a lap down. Nicole Creasel has had a problem. She has gone to pit road. Nicole coming through the horseshoe, just overshoots it on exit, gets that wall, it broke the steering, and she ends up in the barrier. So several cars in trouble here early. The top two, though, they have just gone for, they're just out for a Sunday drive, following each other around. Holy cow, David Garman on... Whoa! Looked like Garmy may have had some problems coming through the S's. Oh, Garmy overshoots into the dirt and gets it gathered up. Holy cow! That was rather dramatic. Hey, good evening, Nicole. Good evening, Frank. How are you guys? Nicole, you are doing fine. Richie Joplin continues to lead, now has pulled a 1.5 second gap on Mark Nelson. Kevin Reed still holds third, but Mark D'Antuma in fourth, starting to close in on Kevin little by little, about 7.5 seconds back at the moment. Albie Ewens is on pit road now. And it looks like David Gorman, Brandon Springer, and DP Riggins all officially out of the race. Aaron Mason still holds on to fifth, Kyle Holden in sixth, Larry Fairman in seventh, Gerald Thanos Poole back in 8th, and Donald Durant's in 9th. Durant's on a bit of a comeback run here. Durant's, with all the problems early, still managing to stay up in the top 10, up 4 spots from where he started. as Mark Nelson has taken the lead from Richie Joplin right as they come into lap traffic through the S's. Mark had been right on Richie's bumper. Richie overshoots him at the top of the hill. Mark keeps it going and just slips by. Our first lead change of the night. Remember, early on, Mark Nelson had the fastest lap, repeatedly kept sitting faster and faster laps. Can he get away from Richie Joplin? Hey, good evening, Kevin. Mark Nelson, Richie Joplin, nose to tail. Kevin Reed back in third, Dan Tuma in fourth. Still about 6.5 seconds back, Aaron Mason in fifth. Kyle Holden, we saw him make that early pit stop. Not sure, it looked like it was for repairs. It was a very short stop, but now has fought his way back up to sixth and all over Aaron Mason's bumper. Oh, and here we go, the move. Holden shoots it down into the horseshoe, outbreaks Aaron Mason and will take fifth. The top two still nose to tail. Since Mark Nelson took the lead, he has not been able to pull away yet. But Richie Joplin has not found a way to get back past him into the lead. However, more lap traffic coming quickly could be a huge factor in the battle for the lead. As they come by now, 9th place Donald Durant and 8th place Gerald Poole just ahead. This is a little bit tight here. Mark Nelson clears. Richie Joplin now clears. Mark Dantuma had been gaining ground on third place Kevin Reed, but he has now slipped back to about 7.25 seconds behind. Meanwhile, Kyle Holden currently in fifth, about 6 seconds behind Mark Dantuma, but he is gaining ground. Richie Joplin led the first 13 laps until he made one mistake, and Mark Nelson took the lead. This battle for the win may come down to who makes the fewest mistakes tonight. Larry Fairman, one of the rookies in the league, currently running in 7th place, is running down 6th place. Aaron Mason, he's about 13 seconds back, but over a second a lap faster at the moment. As Nicole Kriesel moves over to let Fairman go by. Richie all over the back bumper of Mark, trying to pressure him into making a mistake here. Mark Dantuma in 4th has cranked it up, started to close the gap on Kevin Reed, but Kyle Holden just set the fastest lap so far. A 117.72, over a tenth of a second faster than anybody else, and he is closing quickly on Mark Dantuma in 4th. Mark Nelson and Richie Joplin have a big gap to 3rd place. Kevin Reed in 3rd now, 32 seconds back. Mark Dantuma now just 5 1/4 seconds back from Kevin. Mark definitely finding some more. Oh, there you see, as they get on the power, the car's really starting to slide. We talked about it during pre-race. Man, the track is hot out here tonight. Track temperature currently 130 degrees. Mark Nelson and Richie Joplin really have just checked out from the field. The only person matching their speed tonight has been Kyle Holden, but he has been behind since lap 1. And as we approach the halfway point, he is about 41 seconds out of the lead. It is unlikely he is going to be able to make up that much ground here. But Holden has just about caught Mark the Man Dantuma. He is there as they go off into the horseshoe. Dantuma is going to let him have it. Kyle Holden now to 4th. 5.7 seconds behind Kevin Reed in 3rd. And you have to wonder if these two are starting to worry just a little bit. Their spotters have to have told them the lap times that Holden is back here running. Kyle Holden has only entered 2 races so far this season and got the win last week at Gateway. So a 50% win percentage for Kyle Holden right now. Now that he has some clean track ahead, Can he make something happen here? Holden now just 4 seconds behind Kevin Reed and gaining ground. Mark Dantuma still holds on to foot. Nicole Creasel has had a problem. Nicole currently running until she's around at the top of the hill. There's Nicole, and there is that curbing again. Any other car, they can hit that curb as hard as they want, they'll be okay. But this next gen car does not like those curbs at all. And it is played out multiple times here tonight. Richie Joplin has reclaimed the lead. Richie now has a 1 second gap on Mark Nelson. Kevin Reed still back there in third. Holden in fourth, just 2.5 seconds back from Reed at the moment. Let's see how the lead changed hands this time. Down into the horseshoe. Richie just going to outbrake him into the turn. We saw Richie do this in other leagues when he has been at this track recently. He has got that move perfected. Kyle Holden continuing to chomp away at the gap to Kevin Reed. Kevin now just ahead. Now remember, Holden is still about 40 seconds behind the leader. However, he did just set the fastest lap of the night. But depending on when he passes Kevin Reed, can Kyle Holden run down the top two? Last time by, Holden ran a 1:17.69. Only 3 drivers are in the 1:17s right now. Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson, and Kyle Holden. But Holden 0.2 of a second faster than the other two. Oh, Kevin goes a little bit wide. Coming out of the S's, and Holden takes advantage, gets the run into the horseshoe, and he will take third. Aaron Mason is on pit road. This will be his only stop for tires and fuel. Remember, the drivers were looking at 35 to 40 laps on the tank. Now the question is, do they come in? Mark Nelson gives up second. He is in. And it looks like several of them choosing to split the race evenly. Likely trying to make those tires be at their best. Albie Hewins gives up 11th. He is on pit road. Kyle Holden looks like he is going to continue to stay out here. Mark Nelson rolls off pit road. Here comes Holden. For the moment, Mark Nelson holds on to second. Remember, Mark off pit road for fresh Goodyears. And Richie Joplin gives up the lead. He is on pit road. And the attack from Holden down into the horseshoe. Mark's not going to fight him. Holden now to second place. Kyle, though, has not completed his pit stop. Richie Joplin on the way out. Oh, Richie has a problem on pit road exit. Holden gets by. Nelson gets by. Richie recovers, holds on to third. Mark Nelson in second. Kyle Holden has the lead in heavy lap traffic again. What an odd turn of events. Let's take a look. Richie Joplin rolls off pit road as cars come through that first turn on the power up the hill. Cold tires, just a little bit of tire spin off into the grass. Quickly gets the car back out on track, holds on to third, but man, that might have hurt. Kyle Holden out front still has not been to pit road. Pandemonium is definitely a good word for that chaos we saw a moment ago. Aaron Mason was off track at the top of the hill. Looks like Aaron on the power, the back end just snaps out on him. Almost gets it gathered up, but as soon as he gets onto the pavement, it grips and sends him back off the track. Finally gets it gathered up, going the right way, but lost a ton of ground. Kyle Holden still has the lead, but has not made his fuel and tire stop yet. Holden did stop on lap 3 for what we thought was repairs. The drivers were looking at 35 to 40 laps on a tank of fuel. Kyle likely just out here trying to put some distance between him and Mark before he goes to pit road. Gerald Poole has towed it in. It looks like Gerald was headed back to pit road. He had already pitted once. I stand corrected. That was his normal pit stop. I'm not sure. Oh! Something went wrong. Holden just set another fast lap, a 117.57, excuse me. Donald Durance is on pit road. Gerald Poole is on his way back out in 8th. Kyle Holden has a 1.5 second lead over Mark Nelson at the moment as they come through the S's. Richie Joplin 2.6 seconds back in 3rd. Mark D'Antuma still holding on to 4th. Kevin Reed right on his bumper in 5th. Oh, Kevin gets loose at the top of the hill. Kevin gets it gathered back up, going the right way, but a heartbreak. Not the first time we've seen. Oh, Kevin was already had lost a little bit of that grip. Just kept his foot in it, kept it off the track. Gets it going the right way again, but lost some ground here. DJ makes a very valid point. There is way too much wine out on the track. They are in wine country. And Kyle Holden last time by set an even faster lap by quite a bit. Lap times are starting to come down. Last time by, Mark Nelson set a 117.57, his fastest lap of the night. Kyle Holden on the same lap, 117.42. The track temperature still holding though at a scorching 130 degrees. I do not know where these drivers are finding the grip to push these cars this hard. Holden's lead 2.7 seconds over Mark Nelson. Kyle still has to stop for tires and fuel. He will not come in this time. Even if Kyle Holden topped off on lap number 3, it is very, very unlikely he has got enough fuel to go the distance from here. And riding along with the leader at the moment, you can see he is not conserving any fuel anywhere as he puts the power back down to go through the S's. Noticed at the bottom of the hill, I thought he might have been putting it in a neutral. He was not. Back down into the horseshoe. He is not conserving fuel anywhere, so likely he is still going to need at least some fuel. And he just set an even faster lap that time by 117.17, but it got blown out of the water by Richie Joplin, 116.88. Holy cow! Richie is the first driver to make it down into the 116s. He definitely is fighting back. He wants this win. The track temperature is still holding. The air temperature is still holding. No dramatic changes. In all likelihood, Richie Joplin got some Navy Joe coffee, some of that JP5 mixed into his gas, and he is hauling. Kyle Holden's lead at the moment, 5.6 seconds over Mark Nelson. Richie Joplin sits there in third, right on the bumper of Nelson. Gerald Poole is back out on the track after that incident with the pit road wall, currently in 8th place, trying to run down 7th place Aaron Mason. Oh! Aaron has some problems going up through the S's. I'm sorry, going up the hill is where Aaron is having some problems at. That will give Gerald an opportunity to make up some of the ground. He is behind. Kevin Reed, after his earlier spin, has dropped back into 6th. Larry Fairman is finally in for his stop. Kevin Reed now to 5th. Mark Dantuma up in 4th. Richie Joplin in 3rd. Mark Nelson in 2nd. Kyle Holden out front. Kyle Holden's lead currently 6 seconds, 6.25 seconds rather. Larry Fairman is back out on track. He will come back out in 7th place. Aaron Mason will hold on to 6th. And here comes the leader to pit road. Kyle Holden is finally on pit road. This will be the deciding moments of the race. Mark Nelson will go by to reclaim the lead. Richie Joplin in 2nd. They come through heavy lap traffic. Mark Dantuma likely not going to be able to pull up into third place. Fifth place, Kevin Reed, side by side with second place, Richie. He lets Richie go by in the turn. Mark Nelson has a 1 1/4 second lead over Richie Joplin, but remember, a few laps ago, Richie laid down that blisteringly fast lap. Nicole Creasel and Mark Dantuma have had a problem. There's Nicole coming down into the horseshoe. On the power, it just snaps loose. Mark Dantuma right behind. Nicole quickly gets out of the way. Dantuma gets rolling again. Man, a rough night for Nicole. Mark Nelson and Richie Joplin now out front by 24 seconds over third place Kyle Holden with 13 laps to go. Holden was extremely fast prior to coming to pit road, but I don't think he's fast enough to make up 2 seconds a lap late in this race. Also, interestingly, Kyle took fuel only on his pit stop. He did not take fresh tires. Kyle Holden just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.64 on old tires. Richie Joplin set his fast lap on fresh Goodyears. Holden's car needs to go to post-race inspection. They need to see if his tires have been soaked. Mark Nelson continues to lead and is about to lap fourth place Mark Dantuma. It looks like this race is likely going to end with only 3 drivers on the lead lap. Kyle Holden still 21.5 seconds back from Richie Joplin in second place. Richie still within striking distance, just over 1 second behind the Mark Nelson. Mark Dantuma moves over. He's going to let Richie have the run. Last time by, Kyle Holden was just over 1.5 seconds faster than Richie Joplin and Mark Nelson, with 10 laps to go and a 21-second gap. If Kyle Holden finds another few tenths of a second per lap for the next 10 laps, he might be able to run him down. And remember, looks like Kyle Holden is the only driver in the field who has not changed tires tonight. Richie Joplin versus Mark Nelson. This is a battle we have seen playing out here on Sundays and during home motorsports on Thursdays, along with Gerald Thanos Poole also in those fights. And I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of that this summer as those three do battle night after night. Hey, good evening, Kyle. Yeah, it's definitely a tricky track. At least you guys aren't running the infield. Richie all over the back bumper, and Mark Nelson, if they start battling, Holden will close the gap. Whoa! Richie hanging it all out, coming through the kink that time. Donald Durant's made an unexpected trip to pit road. He is on his way back out. Durant's now back into 9th place. Gerald Poole in 8th is gaining ground on Aaron Mason, but he's got a lot of ground to cover. Aaron Mason about 3.5 seconds behind Larry Fairman. Fairman at the moment quicker than both Kevin Reed and Mark Dantuma in 4th and 5th. Fairman is definitely going to be a driver to watch this season. He has been quietly monstering through a lot of these races here recently. He is extremely fast. Donald Durant has had a problem back behind. There's Durant headed toward the horseshoe once again. Oh, gets in a little too deep on the brakes, a little too late. And a little love tap to the tires. Gerald Poole moving out of the way, letting the leaders go by and do battle. Get used to seeing these three cars together a lot over the next few weeks. And folks, in case you missed it, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a lot of YouTube shorts coming out, trucking shorts, racing, everything. And tomorrow night, I will be hopping back in the car tomorrow night and Tuesday night to once again take to the track in X-Cal competition. Last week, we were blessed enough to be in the Navy Joe coffee car. This week, we're hopping in the Bustin' at the Seams #1 for the Southern National race. Hey, good evening, JR. Mark Nelson, Richie Joplin through the horseshoe. They will get 5 to go this time. It has been an eventful evening here at Sonoma. Kyle Holden still the fastest car on track, but has not gained very much ground. He is still 19 seconds behind the top two. Mark Dantuma still holds on to fourth. Kevin Reed still in fifth. Larry Fairman doing a great job in sixth. Donald Durant's looked like he got the tire wall again. Aaron Mason is back on pit road unexpectedly. Gerald Poole back in eighth. Might be able to take advantage of it. At the Navy Joe coffee car coming into the horseshoe right now. Kyle Holden closing up back behind. Gerald letting the third place car slip by. Aaron Mason on his way back out. 4 fresh tires on the car. Mark Nelson now has a 2-second gap on Richie Joplin. Kyle Holden sits back in third place, 18.5 seconds behind Richie. Looks like they needed, Aaron Mason came to pit road for repairs. Let's take a look and see what happened. There's Aaron coming down through the S's. Oh, the back end just stepped out. We talked all night about how slick this track is with that hot track tip. Just slipped off the final turn of the S's, gets the tire wall, thankfully quickly onto pit road. Donald Durant has had a problem. There's Durant coming down the hill. Oh, once again, just a little too much of that bump at the apex sends him off track. That turn has been brutal for Durant here tonight. 2 laps to go for the Mark Nelson. He has a 2-second lead on Richie Joplin. Kyle Holden back in third, 19 seconds back. Dan Tuma sits in fourth. Kevin Reed, he needed to make up some points after missing last week due to technical issues. Currently, Kevin in fifth. Mark Nelson and Richie Joplin have been together. This might be the biggest gap between these two all night long. They have been inseparable and battled it out every single step of the way tonight. Out of the horseshoe, back toward the start-finish line. White flag is in the air one more time around for the Mark Nelson. And Kyle Holden back in third. Man, what a run. He has not changed tires all night. Still the fastest car on track. Word coming down from race control. That car will need to go to post-race inspection. They suspect the tires have been treated in nitrous. But here comes the Mark Nelson out of the S's one more time. Down into the horseshoe, just a couple more turns, and he will be back in victory lane. Out of the horseshoe toward the kink. Mark Nelson will get it done. He will win at Sonoma. Richie Joplin coming home in second. Kyle Holden pulls off third. And let's see if we can talk to our top three, starting with Kyle Holden. Hey, Kyle, word has come down from race control that your car needs to go to inspection for tire treatments and nitrous.
I know. We got wrecked a little earlier there. David, I think, spun. We just couldn't get the right angle to go around him. Our right front kind of clipped him, and our car just would not turn. The steering wheel was pointing the wrong way. Came to get our fast repair, and I don't know. She kind of just took off ever then since there. Maybe just because I didn't have anyone in front of me, but. We were zooming, that's for sure.
You definitely were, and I just noticed you set the fastest lap of the night on your last lap, a 1:16.61. Man, that was blisteringly fast, and you were repeatedly setting fast laps.
Yeah, we were trying to go see if we could pull a 1:15, see if for anything that was possible. A couple of times the all-time fastest lap tracker was showing me I could hit a 1:15, but I just kept on messing up my corners. This track's really difficult. So good race by everybody. Good race by Mark, and appreciate you doing the broadcast for us, Doug.
My pleasure, buddy. Great run tonight.
Appreciate it.
Kyle Holden comes home in third. Richie Joplin finishes in second. Richie, there for a while, it looked like you were going to be able to hold Mark off and maybe pull this thing off tonight.
No, I'm mad at myself. I could have won that race if I didn't go off track twice. So that was my fault, the reason why I lost. And good win for Mark.
Well, you still have an awesome points night. Obviously, just a few weeks into this, But already you and Mark tied for the points lead, and this is going to continue to pull you guys away from the rest of the field.
I just got to do better on keeping the car straight on the track and not doing nothing stupid and going off track.
Oh, man, a great run tonight, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And finally, our winner, the Mark Nelson. The Mark Nelson is the winner in the victory lane, buddy. Great job tonight.
Thanks, Doug. I appreciate that. That was a lot of work.
There was a lot of back and forth between you and Richie. Obviously, both of you making mistakes to cost yourselves the lead, but in the end, you were able to fight back and take that spot.
Overall, I don't feel like I made very many mistakes. He was just faster than me, and he would make a mistake, and then he would catch me, and then he would make a mistake, and then he'd catch me, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if this is sustainable. I better figure out what he's doing so that I can try to fend him off there at the end. And I think what was happening is he was shifting up a little earlier out of corners so that he could get the power down sooner. And so I started doing that, and that's when I started to gap him a little bit and give myself a little bit of cushion.
How worried were you guys about Kyle Holden when you were hearing his lap times?
Yeah, I mean, it was annoying, but I knew that he had a huge disadvantage after the lap 3 or something like that. So I knew that if Richie and I just pushed each other the whole time, that we should be able to at least keep it between the two of us for the win.
You came in here tonight tied for the points, and obviously it's starting to form a back and forth. We see you two back and forth on Thursday nights. We see you back and forth on Sunday nights. It's really shaping up to be an interesting summer.
Yeah, for sure. He's a tough competitor. He's super good, and there's some races where I have a little advantage. Sometimes he has a little advantage, but we can never get away from each other. So that's the key thing. It's going to be tough.
It definitely is, man. Awesome win tonight. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, Doug.
The Mark Nelson gets the win and will take the points lead. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget, come back tomorrow night and see me back in the car as we get ready to go racing at Southern National with XCal. Hope you guys had as much fun as we did. A lot coming this week. Keep following on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. Hope everybody has a great week. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.